I'll be talking about AI Hub in Power Platform. As the name AI Hub in Power Platform itself suggests, that AI Hub is not something that's specific just to like Power Automate or Power apps. It's core to the Power Platform itself. Now, what is AI Hub? So AI Hub is essentially it's a collection of various models that are available. Some of those models are traditional models, some are more GPT oriented models, the new models that we have. And what it lets you do is you just pick a model based on your business case that you have, and you can connect to it with your data. Your data could be documents, images, emails, whatever you want. And in some cases, these models are pre-trained, which means you don't have to do anything. You can just get started right away. But then there are other models which you could tweak and suit your business case, or you could build custom models of your own, where you can train it from the very start, train it with data, and once it's ready, then you start using it. Now, the power of the AI Hub is that it's a low-code platform. Our platform itself is a low-code platform. So the time to sort of start using the model or the technology required to do that is very easy. It's more just drag and drop. It just works. So I'll just go to AI Hub in a bit more details. Now, AI Hub, as you know, that Microsoft's AI journey started long back in early 2000s. They started building, they started acquiring companies that were in AI space, working in the AI space. And then back in 2016 or 2015, I believe, Azure Cognitive Services APIs were launched, which means now the developers could use these AI models and build applications of their own. Now, then back in 2017, I believe they rolled out these AI APIs to the Power Platform. It used to be called as AI Builder back then, and AI Builder would let you use some of the native features like invoice scanning and things like that. With AI Hub, what they have now done is it still has those models that the AI Builder had, which were more traditional using AI models. But then with OpenAI, there are now newer models that leverage the GPT, the large language models. Now, when you go to the AI Hub, you'll see there are several models, and sometimes you might think that which one should I use? Should I use the GPT one, or should I use the other model? The answer to that is this. It completely depends on your use case. So I would recommend that you try to use both and see what works better for you. The thing is that each of them have a different technology behind it. AI models, like I said, they were trained in Chat GPT or GPT wasn't even in picture back when these models were being trained. So they have a different technology, and so the outputs that you expect out of them would be different, and your experience is going to be different. So I recommend that you try to use both. So I'll be showing you both those models in the presentation today. So my presentation would be, I mean, maybe another two slides are the other two slides that I have, but then it's more demo oriented. And I won't ask you to, I mean, you could ask me questions anytime at any point. So I want it to be more interactive. So if you go to the Power Platform, so this is the Power Automate landing page. But even if you go to Power Apps, you can see that the AI Hub would be right down below on the left-hand side. And when you go to AI Hub, you see that you can access all these models from here. You have the prompts, which are the GPT ones that I was referring to. And then you have those traditional AI models that you could use. I also mentioned that some of the models are pre-built. For example, business card reader, receipt processing model, uh, sentiment analysis. So you don't have to train the model. These are pre-trained models. You could start using them in your applications right away. But then you could also create some custom AI models where you can train it to detect an object. You have to give it some images, and once it's trained, then you can start using it uh, in your Power Platform application. There's a good cheat sheet that Microsoft has provided, which sort of maps your use case to a model. And you could see that there are some text models which you would see under prompts as well, and you could also see them under text processing. Like I said, that you could use multiple models for the same use case. So with that, we move to our first demo. So I'll start with a pre-built model. Okay, so text recognition, and for these, in order to build an application based on these models, is just as easy as you just create a basic Power App, and then if you go to Insert under Artificial Intelligence, you'll see all those. Perfect. So in your Power App, when if you just create a basic application, you go to the Insert tab, you have artificial intelligence models that you can use, and like I said, these are the ones that not require any initial training. Business card reader, receipt processor. These are some of the models that they have already pre-trained using several data points. So I'll just go through a few, but just to give you an idea. So all that I have done is I've dropped that control in here, and I just give it an image. So here I'm using a text recognition. So it recognizes printed text, or it can also recognize handwritten text. Then in here, as you can see that it has, from the image, it has extracted handwritten text. It has also captured that apostrophe, which I was quite excited to see. You could use the business card reader. This is again a pre-built model. If I just upload this, and you see that I had put it sideways, but it could still could still make sense out of it. You'll also see that there were a couple of phone numbers there, at least 3 in total, but it was able to identify which is the phone number that belonged to me. So and this just works right away. One thing that you would I would like to show you is what I would like to show you is when I have mapped these label fields with the model, I actually have to say that what field in the from the model do I want to show in my label. So I have to do that mapping. Now there are only fixed number of fields that I can pick. Like I said, these are pre-trained models, which means that it has a defined number of fields that I can choose from. I can't create a field of my own. If I need to do that, then I have to go and build a custom model of my own.
Trying to custom model how many examples?
Yeah, I have the slide on that. So usually what they say is 15 are required at least for you to, with 15 you get around 66% accuracy. But if you give it like 50 images, then it gets to an accuracy of beyond 95%. So that's what we recommend. Okay, so if I just click here. These are the fields that I was saying that when you use a pre-built model, you can only select the fields that it exposes. But if you want any additional, then you have to go and train a custom model of your own. I'll next go to a custom model. So you can also create a custom model of your own. So if I go to AI models, you'll see that there's several different models you can build on different types of models you can build. So if I go to image detection, if I go and create an image detection model, I have already created one which detects people with glasses on. So if I just take an image of this entire room, it will be able to identify people who have their glasses on. So I'll just show you how I've done that. If I just go and click on edit this, all you have to do is first you have to define things that you want to detect in that image. So it is not necessary that you have to only provide one, you're detecting just one thing in that entire image. You can create as many as you like. If I go to next. As you can see, I have created one object at the moment. What that means is in my image, it's only going to look for that object. And if I go to next, and that's where I have to upload all the images. If you click on add images and you upload all the images, it creates a collection of all those images in there. Then this is the part that takes the longest, where you have to go and tag the images tag the object in that image. Now, I had been trying to see that how what if I just use AI generated images? So the images that I've uploaded here are not from the real world; they're just all AI generated. But it still does a very good job. If I train it on AI generated images, it can still recognize people, the actual people, classes and actual people. So that's the tagging bit which I have done. And like I said, that you have to upload at least 15, because if you haven't done 15, it won't let you proceed to the next stage. But once you have scanned 15 images or tagged 15 images, then the model is ready for you to be used. And using the model is as easy as just placing that control in here. So I've just put the control in here, and in the control properties, I have set the model ID. So I have to get the model ID from my Power Platform, and I just specify it in here. Now I'll go and try to detect an actual photo which I've just downloaded from the internet. And as you can see that it does identify the person with the glasses on, and it also shows you the accuracy with which it thinks that it's 85% sure that this is the person with glasses. Now, this AI hub, like I said, is applies to the entire Power Platform. It's not just restricted to Power Apps. So now I've shown you Power Apps, but now I'll show you how you can use that same model in Power Automate. Now, one of the use case that I'm using here is to do with receipts. So we do all these purchases and we have all these receipts, parking receipts, this and that. And it's very handy. What I do is I usually use my, if you haven't used the document scanning feature in OneDrive, I think you should try that. So if you have the OneDrive app in there, and if you scan a document, you can just save that as a PDF. And so what I end up with in my OneDrive is just a list of documents, which just a list, a bunch of PDFs in there, but I have no clue what that receipt is for. I have to actually go and open that receipt in order to see what it is about. So what I'll do is just for this demo, let's say I have taken a picture and I have uploaded. Since I've taken them on my OneDrive, they get uploaded to the receipts folder. So what this lets me do is I have created like a flow which moves these receipts from OneDrive into SharePoint. Now, why am I moving them into SharePoint? The idea being that with SharePoint, it allows me to create these custom columns. I can extract information out of the receipts and then populate those custom columns in SharePoint. So that's what I'm trying to do here. If I just go and drag the thing here. So it's uploading the documents, and if everything goes okay in some time, so I'll in the meantime I can go walk you through the flow. So this is my flow. So whenever file lands in my receipts folder, I am using this model, which is extract information from the receipts. It's the same model that I was using in Power Apps. And then I can map those fields to the library to say that, well, this is the information that needs to go in such and such column. And once I've done that mapping, point, and if I just refresh my screen. So it takes a while for the trigger to kick in, but once it triggers, it'll. I'll come back to that maybe in a bit. Okay, so they are all running. I hope they'll end up in SharePoint. Yeah, so now you see here that it has uploaded the documents, it has extracted the content from the document, and it has uploaded them in my library. So now I don't have to go and open each receipt to see what that receipt is for. All that information is in here. At the same time, I can use this information to derive some insights. Like I could categorize them in some different groups, and then do like how much did I spend on dining, how much did I spend on groceries and things like that. As you can see that the category field is not populated at the moment. That's because the receipt itself doesn't have that information, right? So now that's where I wanted to explain, I wanted to touch upon the fact that while the receipt is good, this model is good to identify information from your document and populate it. It can't create information out of nothing. But that's where you have these LLM models, which are the generative models, where you can, based on the item's description, it can then make that calculated decision for how should I categorize that document. Okay, so I've walked you through that one. Any questions so far before I go ahead?
How does pricing work with this?
Yeah. Pricing, licensing is an interesting thing. Like with, I'm not an expert in licensing. What I know is that with, with AI Hub, you need AI Builder credits, and you can buy the credits, AI Builder credits separately. But at the same time, if your organization have people who have Power Apps or Power Automate licenses, premium licenses, they get some AI Builder credit added to the account. So if you have several people with those licenses, then you might have enough licenses to start using AI Builder credits. Okay, so the next, so what I have covered so far are the models, which are the pre-built models. But now what I'm going to cover are the prompts. So I'm getting into the reign of large language models now, and how can we use the large language models for things that for our use case. So the first use case I have here is this is a product that Theta had launched for internal employees, just so that they could use AI to do things. I mean, it uses the OpenAI API, so you can pretty much do anything that ChatGPT does, but you do it within the secure boundaries of the company. So now this was a very recent tool that was released to the employees, so which means that not everyone knew how to use it. So they had lots of questions. So we put up a form there, and they can go and put their query in there. That form, what it does is it sends an email. So there's a Power Automate flow running. It sends an email to the set of people who are managing this application. If I go back to the app experience, okay. So what this app is doing is there's a gallery on the top, and this gallery is looking on in my inbox, and it's filtered on a subject. So the Power Apps, the form, the Microsoft form, when it sends an email, it uses the subject, which is Theta's this query. And what my gallery is doing is it's just looking not at all the emails, it's just filtering the ones which are specific to. And so this guy is saying that my search on Theta is assist is not working. Okay. So now since we have been working on it for quite some time, we already know why this might be the case. And the obvious answer is, yeah, you just need to clear your cache and get on with it. Okay. But in order for me to write an email and word it nicely and say that the essence is that you have to clear your cache, but I have to write this huge email just to make it more professional. So the idea is that you just give it the basic information and let LLM do the rest for you. So that was the basic idea. And how we can achieve it using the AI Hub is this. So in here, I'll just say clear cache. And if I just click on improve the response with AI, now what that's doing is it's going and calling a Power Automate. Now what that Power Automate is then doing is it's calling LLM and getting that prompt and giving the prompt that I have given it, and then constructing that nice friendly message. If I quickly take you through the flow first, and then we'll come back to this. So as you can see, this flow, this is a very simple flow, just 3 actions in here. And if you look at this action, which is the create text with GPT using a prompt. And in here, there are several prompts I can use from. These are the ones that are available out of the box. Like you can reply, you can create draft a reply, you can classify, you can look at the sentiment of that message and all that. But what I'm doing is, since I have to craft a reply, I'm used the reply prompt. At the same time, I have given it an additional content saying that this is my initial response. I don't want you to invent answers of your own. This is the I want you to focus it on this response. And just by doing that, you see that it starts giving much more meaningful uh, responses. So it hasn't deviated from what I was saying. Like it's still saying that you have to clear your browser cache and cookies, and also it added that you have to have a stable internet. So as you can see that it basically polishes that email that I was about to send. That's that. And then if I go to the next use case, now another powerful feature of the LLMs is to extract information from unstructured data. Now, when I say unstructured data, it is if there was an email coming in Power Automate and you had to extract data, and if it had a fixed structure, like if the project name, the customer name, everything is in a fixed format, then I could use some text expressions to extract that data out of it. But if I'm getting an email from a person, it's very hard for me to sort of create one logic that fits all the cases. But that's where what LLMs are for. So in here, as you can see, this is an email that has come from a customer. I want to, it depends on what I want to get out of it, right? So what I have done here is I have gone and what I have gone and done is I have created a custom prompt here. After the presentation, we have been seeing the spinning. The prompt that I showed you earlier is are the out of the box prompts, and for this one, I had written a very specific prompt. And the prompt I have said that from this email text, I want you to extract this information, and I want you to extract it in such and such format. So you can specify the format you want that information in. So if you're using like Copilot, you might want it to return that information in markdown syntax. Whereas if you are using a chatbot on the website, you might want it to return it in HTML. If you're using it in Power Automate approval emails, you might want the markdown syntax. So it depends on what your use case is, and that decides what you use, which format you use. I'll quickly show you the prompt first. So that's my simple prompt. What I've said is extract the project name, task, deadlines, and construct an output only in strict JSON format. I don't want it to deviate from that. Now, what I had seen is if I ask it to say, if I tell it to return something in JSON, it returns it in JSON, but on top of it, it adds, this is the requested information that you have asked for. Now, if you have that text in there, it becomes unuseful because I can't use it in my operations in Power Automate operations. What I have just clearly said is it should be strictly the JSON, and I don't want you to wrap it with any of your instructions or anything. So this is the custom prompt interface that I'm showing you. And you can use text prompt. You can test it here. And once you're happy, you can then start using it in Power Automate. So while I can also go and show it in Power Automate, but I can just, I just copied that text from there. If I click on test this prompt, you'll see that it is able to extract all that information. And since I had asked it to return it in JSON, it has returned it that information in JSON. Now it has become so simplified. Yeah.
Did you give it the JSON format?
No, I haven't given it a JSON format. It has just come up with a format of its own. But you're right. I can even give it a format that I desire. So I have another example where I have actually given it a format. But that's a large language model. It basically looking at the information, it was able to make sense out of it and thought that, well, this is the information that might be useful, or these are the key pieces of information you'll be looking for. That's one example. So I won't go through that Power Automate flow because you get the idea anyway. Another example is this building inspection form. Now, if I were to extract information out of a form like this, it would be very hard if I do it in the traditional way. Rather, what I have done is I have just used, and this information can either be in printed form, or it could be a text, handwritten form as well. That works as well. What I have done here is I have given, I can, in this flow, what I am doing is I have given it that inspection form. If it's in Word, it will convert it into PDF. And if it's in PDF, it will skip that part. But then this is the part that it does, which is recognize text in an image or a PDF format document. What that does is it gets all that information from the PDF or an image, depending on what type it is. And then it's sending it to the large language model. And here I am saying they use the AI extract prompt. What AI extract prompt does is, if I give it an entity that what do I want you to extract, and if I just run this for you, here I'm just saying that just summarize that report for me. I don't have time to go through that and just tell me the things that I need to look for or I need to action on. So if I give it a prompt like that, it goes, ingests that data, converts it into PDF if it's in Word or any other format. And then once it's done with the recognition part, I go into the compose, you can see that now it has summarized all that information that was there. So I don't have to go and look for that information myself. I could even improve the prompt to say that I don't want to know about the things that are okay. I just want to focus on the things that are not working or have been highlighted in the building inspection report, the things I need to attend to. If I create a prompt like that, then that my summary would be according. And final use case I have is I've shown you how to use these models in Power Apps, shown you how to use them in Power Automate, and I'll quickly show how you can leverage them in Leverage.
No price, no money.
I missed that. You can show us the.
In Copilot.
Oh, okay.
The very
Delivery. Microsoft presentation.
So what I'll be showing you here is I have created this custom prompt. If so I'm creating a bot which will book flights for me. Let's say. So still I want people to just provide their requirements in just a statement. Tell me where they are going to, when they are flying, where they're going, what is their return date, and all that.
But there are several ways people can craft that, right? So these are 5 examples. In different ways, people might say the same thing. Now, if I go back to the prompt, what I have said is just extract the source, destination, travel date, and return date from this prompt that the user has given. Keep the output strictly in JSON. And this time I have given it a JSON format as well, right? So if I go to Copilot, and if I maybe go here and what this Copilot is doing is it's calling Power Automate Flow, is this one. And this Power Automate Flow, what that is doing is it is calling the get flights prompt, the prompt that I had shown you just earlier, this get flights prompt. And it is passing that information that user has requested in the Copilot. It is extracting that information and sending it back to the Copilot. So if I go back here, you can see that it has extracted that information out of that generic text the user had provided. So that was my last presentation, last demo. But what I wanted you to go with is like AI Hub is quite powerful in the sense that you don't need to do any sort of plugging or anything. I mean, with Azure, although the cognitive services was great, but you needed to work with ease and app registrations and things like that. You don't need to do anything like that in here. You can just quickly just use the model in your Power Automate, Power Apps, or in Copilot Studio. You can just start leveraging these AI features. That's all from me. Any questions?
My question's not so much from your presentation, but this morning when we were listening to very first person speak,
Microsoft?
Who was speaking about the agents.
Yeah.
So I was trying. An agent isn't a bot. Can an agent use bots? Is there a relationship between agent and bots?
Yeah, I haven't used the agents in Copilot Studio, but with agents, the idea is that if I ask this bot, for example, this bot itself, this bot is only returning this information, but then I want an agent to go and book this flight for me. So which means that there could be a separate bot, but I don't have to copy this information from this bot onto that bot. This bot is going to talk to the agent and get that done by the agent. Agent is more like a child.
Plugin.
Right?
Like a plugin.
Yeah, it's more like.
So the agent orchestrates it, and it might use this bot to get part of the information and then pass it to another bot.
Yeah. So they're talking to assistants, are talking to assistants and getting the job done for them. That's the agentic.
Got a couple of questions. So if you're a startup, and you're trying to reduce your costs, have you any idea what it costs to be fully tooled up to do all this? I looked this morning and it looks like Copilot's $200 a month or something like that. And then you've got, is that about right? Is that what you're looking at?
So in order to use the AI builder, you do need to have a premium license. Power Automate premium license, I think it's $22 or $23 a month per user. And AI builder credits, if you have a Power Automate license, you do get some AI builder credits with it. And if you can use the pay as you go plan, as in based on your usage, you can decide how much you want to use it for. I think that I wouldn't be able to give you an accurate answer on that. You probably need a licensing expert to cost it out for you.
Sounds like about $300 a month. Second question I have is, you can get carried away with this, but then at some point something's going to fall over. How easy or how hard is it to reverse engineer or to pull it apart and figure out what went wrong?
Yeah, so well, certainly if you are running into issues which are related to the model itself, then I don't think there's much you can do about it because you're using this as a black box. You're giving it information, you're expecting it to send it back to you. If you use uh, something like Azure OpenAI, then you have much more control on things like you can set the temperature, what you can set the parameters to say like I don't want. So it has some filters set on like it won't return you results that are offensive or too yeah if it has violence and all that. But then you can tweak those parameters and you can basically make it to work your way. But you don't have that ability in this AI hub because this is basically a black box you're talking to. So if you're looking to be more sort of you want more control, then probably Azure OpenAI Studio is what I would suggest that you go and create models there and you use for your use cases.
We have another question. You mentioned early on. So if you're sending confidential client data to Copilot or wherever, what kind of protection is there that data is not going to be used to train?
Yeah, so I mean, I know that OpenAI has pretty. If you subscribe for the premium subscription with OpenAI, they have a disclaimer where they have an agreement where they say that this data will not be used for training purposes. Now, that is, I'm not too sure about what the boundaries are when you working with AI Hub. So probably if you go to the Microsoft AI Hub, that they do have a section on security and compliance, and probably might be it there. Sorry about I don't
No, that's okay.
have much information.
It's okay.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Maybe to add to this, because when you work with Azure AI Studio, for example, you can control it more because it's the language models that are kind of new environment, deploy it into your environment, and you have control over it. So it's not just a promise; it's technical capability to. If it's more like public interface like ChatGPT online that you can go, no, they can do basically whatever is written in the terms and conditions, which everyone read and accepted.
While I am here, I can also. So one of the good things about prompts is this. This is a preview feature, which is data use. So currently, it allows you to add your Dataverse table, which means that if you add a Dataverse table, you can use generative AI on Dataverse. You can ask it questions about your data. You don't have to do any sort of plug or play or anything. It's just it works. That's something you could try. The only data connection that it currently supports is Dataverse, but the others might be coming. To your point, another. We do have some limited ability to set the temperature and all, but it's not as powerful as Azure OpenAI. So that's that. You can also select the model of your choice. Currently, it has 3.540. One other thing that I would want to mention is these AI models. Some of the models are in preview and some are in general availability. So if you are using the preview ones, they are free to use. You don't have to pay anything for that. It doesn't use your AI credits. Only if you're using the ones that are production ready.